Inflammation is now linked to nearly every major chronic disease: rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, multiple sclerosis, autoimmune disease patients also reported flares of their diseases when they were under stress. And I said, wait a minute, either stress makes your immune system suppressed or overactive. This doesn't make sense, but it does. I'm going to summarize it for you in simple language. So what are the natural ways that you can decrease inflammation in your body?
Welcome to Body, Mind, and Spirit. I'm your host, Dr. Diely Pichardo Johansson, retired board-certified hematologist-oncologist and twice cancer survivor.
Okay, so we have already covered adrenaline and cortisol, the oldest well-known part of the stress response. And now we're going to focus on the fancier side of stress, immunity and inflammation, things that may be less known to people. First, I'd like to refer you to a previous episode when we mentioned psychoneuroimmunology. In the 80s, some papers confirmed that the central nervous system actually innervates the lymph tissue. Therefore, there's a direct connection between our nervous system and our emotions with our immune function. But that always puzzled me. When I was an oncologist, as you know by now, I had the theory that stress suppressed your immune system, joy improved it, and that was the reason why many of my patients, when they went through stress, their cancers got out of control. However, my oncology center was also working as an infusion center, and rheumatologists and gastroenterologists were sending me patients for flares of inflammatory diseases: rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, multiple sclerosis. Whenever those patients needed infusions of immunomodulators, they were sent to my office and I had to interview them. And I started noticing that those patients also reported flares of their diseases when they were under stress. And I said, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We cannot have it both ways. Either stress makes your immune system suppress and explains why my cancer patients get out of control, or it makes your immune system overactive and explains why my rheumatologic disease and autoimmune disease patients get out of control. This doesn't make sense, but it does. And about a year ago, I attended a wonderful lecture at the Herbert Benson Mind Body Medicine course run by Harvard that explained this in a beautiful way. I'm going to summarize it for you today in simple language. Our immune system was designed to work with the stresses that were life-threatening to our ancestors. Remember, modern life is relatively recent. For hundreds, thousands, millions of years, the type of threats we were facing were different from the ones we face today. Think about a caveman, or even a more recent ancestor, a Roman soldier in an army. If you were attacked by a wild beast, or if an enemy in the opposite army would stab you with their sword or their spear, the first thing that could kill you was bleeding, definitely. If you survived that bleeding, the next was a bacterial infection. Remember when we talk about the germ era, the revolution that was discovering microorganisms? Before the germ era, we didn't have aseptic techniques, we didn't have antibiotics. The majority of preventable deaths were due to infections. It made sense that our immune system was programmed that the moment stress is recorded in our bodies, we assume either we were attacked by a beast or an enemy stabbed us. The immune system resources were going to shift toward favoring the bacterial immunity. And that came at the expense of stealing resources from the cellular immunity. What does that mean? The bacterial immunity is run by antibodies and neutrophils. It's also the immunity that raises inflammation. What is inflammation? This hard, red, swollen area. It comes from a dilation of blood vessels. Circulation goes up. white blood cells are called into the area and release cytokines, substances that call other immune cells into the problem. Attacking whatever bacteria we found there, those substances release into the blood and cause the fever, further inflammation, further recruiting of cells. So now you are seeing the connection. The immunity that helps us fight bacteria is also the immunity that raises inflammation. So no wonder my patients with rheumatologic disorders were noticing flares when they were under stress. But at the same time, we did that by stealing resources from cellular immunity. Our T lymphocytes, our mononuclear cells, those are the cells that fight the viral infections. It's more important to survive the attack than to fight the cold at the time. But they're also the same cells that fight cancer cells. And take a moment to think about that. Have you observed that in your life? I definitely had. Every time I had a stressful test in medical school, the moment I was done with the test, I would be bedridden with a flu. My cellular immunity was down. Another example is the fever blister. Every time I'm under some stress in my life, a little herpes simple virus 1 in my lip acts out. And is my reminder that I better put my life in order before the next thing that gets out of control is those ugly cells that I left behind long ago. Have you observed that in your life? No wonder that stress was also suppressing the cellular immunity in my cancer patients and causing worse outcome of their cancers.
Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. When you share this video, when you like it, when you comment, you are helping us change the conversation and shift the consensus reality in the world. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Now, back to the show.
So our body is wonderful. Our body was designed to really handle what was supposed to kill us. It's just that normal life has changed the game. We are not facing stress once in a blue moon when we are being attacked by a bear. We are facing stress every single day. And stress is causing this dysregulation of our immune system, making us weaker to fight viruses and cancers and overreactive to cause inflammation. But if being susceptible to virus and cancer sounds bad, let's talk a little bit about the problem of having an overactive inflammation response in your body. Inflammation is now linked directly or indirectly to nearly every major chronic disease we face today. Inflammation and those neutrophils are known to exacerbate those coronary plaques and atherosclerosis, causing heart attacks and strokes. The inflammatory milieu fosters cancer by a persistent signal, damaging DNA, increasing mutations, angiogenesis, creating new blood vessels that facilitate cancer spread. It also messes our metabolism. Inflammation worsens metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, and diabetes. Fatty tissue, which by the way is inflammatory, disrupts insulin signaling. And now it's well known that inflammation, especially involving the glial cells, is strongly connected to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and other dementias. So, how do we keep inflammation low in our bodies? Well, medicine solutions, the anti inflammatory medications have not done very well. We already talked about the damage that steroids chronically can do to our bodies. And anti-inflammatory medications have their own different type of side effects. By the way, some anti-inflammatory medications like celecoxib in the past had been associated with prevention of colon polyps and colon cancer. There is something maybe to be explored. But overall, most of anti-inflammatory medications that are prescribed come with their own side effects. So, what are the natural ways that you can decrease inflammation in your body? If you are a wellness fanatic, you may have heard of natural products like curcumin, ginger, omega 3 fatty acids, willow bark. There are natural products that are widely available and that are backed by science to decrease inflammation. Other ways to decrease inflammation are keeping your mitochondria healthy and working well. And that's the topic for the next conversation. Is about keeping your microbiome healthy, about the barrier in your gut that when it's disrupted, we are no longer protected. Things that are supposed to be outside cause reactions. There's elimination diets. There's a lot to talk about how an elimination diet can help you. But this show is not about that because there's plenty other people talking about those. And I highly recommend Andrew Huberman and his podcast. This is about what most people are not talking about. So, what is the best natural solution you can do to control inflammation in your body? Is positive emotions. And we are going to be talking a lot more about that in the next segment when we talk about mitochondria. But it's very well known that positive emotions, especially love and connection and purpose, can boost the mitochondria to the point that we can have optimal cellular function and minimal oxidative damage and minimal inflammation. Joy, bliss, peace of mind, serenity, silence, harmony, perspective, tranquility. What are your best ways in your life to cultivate that feeling? Everybody's talking about the mitochondria. The more joy you have in your life, the more connection, the more purpose, the more positive emotions, the healthier your cell will be, the younger your cell will be.